Hello loves, Kristen here. Today I want to connect in with and talk a little bit about Mary Magdalene, the Magdalens, Magdalena. Mary Magdalene has been reaching out to me for some time now, and reaching out to a lot of women here on earth, or rather, a lot of us have been remembering her. Her codes have been awakening on this planet. There has been a collective reclamation of the Magdalene, of Mary Magdalene. And so I'll start by just saying a few words about my belief of who Mary Magdalene is. So she is most well known as the first person who Yeshua, Jesus, appears to when he reincarnates. Many believe that she was one of his, not just disciples, but his apostles. For many years, she was painted as this fallen woman, as a prostitute, as a whore. And in the 60s, the Vatican actually released a statement saying that that is not who she was, that she was, in fact, one of the apostles of Yeshua. And there's many, including myself, who believe that she was in sacred union with Yeshua, with Jesus, with Christ, right? That she was the priestess to his priest, the king, queen to his king, right? The female to his male, and that together their sacred union of that divine masculine and divine feminine brought about deep healing, right? That was from the place which they taught, spoke, right? Prophesied. And I will also say that I was raised within the Lutheran faith, so within a denomination of Christianity, but I never really felt very connected to that way of worship, to Jesus. And one of the first times that Mary Magdalene came through to me really strong, I was reading a book about someone else's spiritual journey, and they talked about how they were talking about being brought to France, right? And for anyone who is interested or has done any kind of deep research, there is evidence that after Yeshua was crucified, that Mary Magdalene fled into southern France and continued to teach the gospel of love, right? To teach the gospel in a way that's much more aligned with Jesus's, Yeshua's true teachings, as opposed to the teachings that have been kind of warped by the church as a way of maintaining authority and maintaining power, right? And so she was in southern France. There's a lot of evidence that she went there and continued to teach the gospel there. And so I'm reading this book about this woman who finds herself in southern France, finds herself connecting in with this deep wisdom and history of the Magdalene. And I got this download, essentially, like, put the book down and meditate. And so I did. And I put the book down and meditated and went into a deep meditation really fast. And I remember hearing the words, you don't have to work with Jesus. You can work with me. You don't have to work with Jesus. You can work with me. And I knew in my heart that this was Mary Magdalene speaking to me. And it's super interesting, right? That's how she would frame it to me. Partially because I've had a lot of resistance to Christ, right? Which is interesting. My name is Kristen, right? Which not spelled with a CH, but still like a derivative of, honoring Christ, honoring that, like, the anointed one, right? This one who has been anointed. And I felt a lot of resistance to Catholicism, to Christianity, to monotheism. For a lot of my life, I struggled claiming my own spirituality, because so much of the models of spirituality were rooted in this monotheistic Christian kind of authoritative power structure of the church. And it left a horrid taste in my mouth. It left a horrid feel in my body, and I just couldn't resonate with it. And so it felt really potent that in this kind of like new age movement, right? Like many of you know that I work with Reiki energy. Reiki is this like high vibrational kind of like source power energy. And there are some who define it or describe it as like a Christ consciousness energy. And I've always really struggled with this, this claiming, right, of my connection with, or even like to work with Jesus, was always felt like, I'm not really trying to do that. And so it felt really potent that Mary Magdalene came in so strong, essentially saying like, these lessons, right? These lessons are for you, and you don't need to have him as a teacher. Follow me. And so I have been slowly walking that path, finding other teachers who are working with Mary Magdalene. Interestingly, she seems to be coming into the planet really strong right now, right? Like she seems to be speaking to the collective consciousness. Whoa. That's an affirmation, I think. She's here, right? She never left us. She's never been gone. There's just been like a 2,000 or 3,000 period of time in which we've forgotten, right? We've forgotten the power of the sacred feminine. We've forgotten the power of the sacred union between the masculine and feminine, right? Like so many of our youth, right, are reminding us of this power, right? There is no it's no coincidence that like as this like rise of the sacred feminine, rise of the divine feminine, right, is coming in, that there's also like this resurgence and reclamation of non-binary identification, right, of all gendered like identification of two-spirited, right, where like we are existing with like perfect union of these polarities that we've been taught are super separate, but are actually very, very interdependent and interconnected. And so as we reclaim, right, this divine feminine, as the divine feminine comes in and like waters the parched ground of patriarchy, right, we can reclaim the ways in which we embody all, right, that we embody this like sacred masculine, sacred feminine, this beautiful union within. And how magnificent, right, that there are so many souls incarnate in bodies right now who are showing us the way forward, right, towards this like, yes, this sacred union within, right? And as someone who connects really deeply with the energy of the divine feminine, with feminine energy, I can say that like there is a reclamation happening, right? That for too long we have seen these, we have seen all things feminine as like weak or bad or dirty or wrong or somehow not whole. And that we're in a time when we are being urged, called to remember the sacredness, the sacred power of the divine feminine, of the Magdalene, right? I was reminded recently that one of the translations of Magdalene as title, right, instead of thinking of it as like a surname, thinking of it as a title, right, that Magdalene is the watchtower, right, the way shower, the witness, right? And I've been getting a lot of remembering of how deeply important it is to witness the horrors of the world and hold love in our bodies, in our hearts, right? I want to say that again, how important it is for us to be able to hold the frequency and the vibration of love in our bodies as we witness horrors, right? This is not an easy thing to do, but it is the invitation right now. The invitation is, how do we maintain love within? How do we see with eyes of love, hear with ears of love, right? How do we embody the frequency of love despite everything else that's going on around us, right? And bringing this back to the story of Mary Magdalene, I'm reminded of what it must have felt like to watch your beloved, right? So for her, Jesus, Yeshua, what it must have been like for her to watch him tortured and crucified and somehow stay firmly rooted in that divine love, right? Not to go off into hysterics, which is totally, totally reasonable and understandable, but to maintain that frequency of love and witness all that occurred with love. And I think many of us, right, are able to relate with this, right, as we witness our world, as we see our world. And maybe many of us are maybe falling short, right, where we are witnessing the horrors of this world, and rather than embodying and being able to stay in the frequency of love, we move into terror, we move into fear, we move into anger, right? And there's nothing inherently wrong with any of this. There's no shame in that. There's no anything, right? It's not like, oh, you're bad. But there is an invitation of what could be, right, if we are able to stay in the frequency of love, to hold the frequency of love regardless. Now, this might sound really like woo-woo and out there to just like be all like lovey-lovey. And I want to just remind us that like love isn't always rainbows and marshmallows and sparkles and glitter, right? Like love can be harsh. Love can be fierce. And anyone who has ever had like a deep friend, sister, sibling, right? Someone who deeply loves us and tells us that truth that cuts so deep, right? But we need to hear it, right? We need to hear the hard truth. And love encourages us to be courageous and speak that loving truth, even if it cuts, even if it hurts, right? And so I'm saying that to remind us that like love is fierce, right? Love is not this like thing to be seen as like soft and weak, because actually like soft things tend to be really malleable, flexible, right? And bitter, hard things tend to break really easily, right? And so there is a invitation to rethink, right? How we perceive, right, this frequency of love, how we perceive this frequency of softness, of compassion, right? How we perceive this feminine principle, right? This like unwavering, compassionate strength, right? For too long, we have perceived that kind of inner resilience as weak, right? And yet, what is weak is that fragile ego, that fragile male ego, right? That like gets hurt and needs to lash out. To me, that is not a representation of strength, right? That is a representation of, in love, right? Like immaturity and weakness, right? And now, like, again, shame, right? Like we are human. We came here to have all the experiences. We get to experience it all. And we also have choice. And so we get to choose, right? Do we choose to take the high road, right? And learn how to live in love, in harmony, in union, in compassionate interdependence, right? Or do we continue to walk this low road that is paved with blood and revenge and, having to prove ourselves and having to be better than someone else and having to have someone, to put someone down to feel good about ourselves, right? Or having to win in order to feel enough, right? We get to choose which path we want to follow. And I feel like the Magdalene is a way shower, right? That the codes of the Magdalene are showing us a way back to love, right? A way back to our own inner power, our own unique essence that is the same frequency of all of life, right? There is this deep need for us to remember that we are all one, right? That we are all reflections of the same source energy, right? That we are all pieces of the same tapestry, right? That we are all strands of the same web, right? And that isn't an easy invitation, right? And at the same time, as someone who has struggled deeply, feeling super disconnected and alone, right? There is something so soothing about coming back into relationship with our deep connection with the planet, right? With the earth, but also with each other and all of the other creatures on this planet. So, I said a lot there. Please feel free to drop any questions or comments in the little comment section. I can make further videos to answer those. And I feel like I want to move us into a place of energy healing and activation to connect in with the energy of Mary Magdalene, our own inner Magdalene, our own inner power. And so I'll invite you to maybe move your body a little bit. Maybe you want to bring a little swaying. Maybe you want to reposition your hips, right? Maybe you want to roll your shoulders. And I'll invite you to just start coming back into your body, becoming aware of your seat on the chair or the ground. Maybe becoming aware of the sounds around you, the smells around you, just coming into presence here. And as we begin to land, I'll invite you to start deepening your breath, breathing in all the way down to the base of your belly. And breathing out. Taking another nice deep breath in here, feeling your belly rise. And letting it out, maybe making a sound or a sigh. We'll take one more deep breath in here. Inviting in Mary Magdalene consciousness here. From this place, I'll invite you to imagine a thick taproot begins to extend out from the base of your spine, stretching down, down, down into the planet, pushing through concrete, rock, and crystal, pushing through underground caverns and rivers, plunging deep down into this earth, feeling magnetized towards the core. And as your root continues to grow down, I invite you to take a nice deep breath in here, feeling, imagining that earthly energy is moving up into your body, into your hips, into your root. Feeling that deep connection with the planet. Feeling that grounding energy moving into your legs and feet and hips and pelvis. Allowing your root to stretch all the way down to the core of this planet, where it wraps itself around that red molten core. And as you breathe here, fully rooted, you can imagine, feel, invite that earth energy to move up into your body, filling your root space, overflowing into your sacral space, overflowing into your solar plexus, filling your entire belly with that grounded earth energy. And from this deeply rooted place, I invite you to imagine that a crystalline white light shines down from the heavens. Ooh, shining down. This crystal light enters in through your crown chakra, illuminating your entire head and skull and brain. This crystal light activating codes within your eyes, your third eye, within all of your glands and your brain and nervous system. This crystalline consciousness moves down through the crown of your head into your throat. Activating your galactic presence, your voice, your expression through time and space. Moving and activating your upper chakras, crown, third eye, and throat. That crystalline light meets with that earthen energy in your heart space. And this earthen energy and this crystalline cosmic light begin to meld in that beautiful heart space of yours, dancing, embracing, becoming one. And as they join, your heart begins to reprogram to this union, reactivate in line with the frequency of this union. The melding of the galactic and the earthly, of the heavenly and the material. Feeling that union, that sacred union of above and below in your own heart here. And as that energy spirals and pulses, you feel it start to spread throughout your entire body. Feeling that crystalline energy move down into your lower chakras, feeling that earthly energy move up into your upper chakras, feeling that melding, that union, that connection. As above, so below. As below, so above. Feeling yourself perfectly placed at the meeting point of the cosmos and the earthly. And with our bodies fully active, I invite you to imagine, sense, and feel that you are standing now on a pathway that leads into an ancient forest. You feel compelled to follow this path, and as you do, you become aware of the ground beneath your feet, sensing, feeling that earth below you. And as you enter into the forest, you breathe in, smelling the smells of the forest, the damp earth, the bark, the leaves, the life. And you hear the sound of wind moving in the leaves. You hear the many songbirds. You hear the chirps of crickets. You feel the life that is alive here. And as you continue to walk down this path in this ancient forest where the trunks of the trees are bigger than you've ever seen this lifetime, but you feel like you know them. You feel as though you remember them. This place feels familiar. And as you turn a corner, you see a beautiful crystal cavern, an opening at the base of a mountain. And you feel compelled to go inside. Entering into this crystal cavern where crystals are growing off of all of the surfaces, you walk within and notice that there is a sacred fire lit here. Its light is illuminating the crystals, creating this iridescence all around you. And as you move towards the fire, you notice that there is a woman already seated there. And she beckons you to sit with her around the fire. And you do so, taking a seat now next to the fire, feeling the warmth, mesmerized by the dancing flames. And she gazes upon you now, across from you. And as you sit here with Mary Magdalene at this fire, she begins to sing. And her song echoes in the crystal cavern, awashing you, awakening you, activating you. You notice that this song is deeply familiar, and without trying, you begin to hum along. And as you hum, her voice rises louder, and you feel an awakening, an activation, a remembrance within you. And she continues to sing as she stands, and she moves towards you now until she's standing right behind you, continuing to sing. Maybe your body wants to move and sway. She places her hands on your back body. And as she does so, you feel the loving energy of the cosmos pour into your body through her hands, reactivating all of your cells, reactivating all of your memories, reactivating all of your organs to the frequency of love. Love moves in the space between your DNA. Love dances in the space between your cells. It moves across your skin and through your blood, activating you, moving not only in this physical body, but also moving through your ancestral lineage, feeling the blood of your ancestors reactivated with the codes of love activated within your own system, and within that lineage, that blood lineage from which you come. She places one hand now on the top of your head, and you feel love stream down through the crown of your head, activating each of your chakras, your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root. Love continues to pour through her hands, placed one on top of your head, one on your back body, and you feel your spine awakened. Ooh, each of your vertebrae of your spine is held with love. The juiciness between your spinal cords, reactivated and flowing and fluid and loving. That love moves out through your tailbone, through your taproot and into the earth, filling this earth once again with love, the frequency, pure, loving frequency. You feel your heart open and activated. You feel your throat open and activated. You feel your sacral space open and activated. You feel your root open and activated. Every part of your physical body is now in tune with this frequency of love, vibrating at the frequency of love, and you feel a deep remembrance that this is who you've always been. This is who you were before you found your mother's womb. This is who you were before you were birthed through her birth canal. This is who you were before they told you the stories. This is who you were at the beginning, at the spark, and this is who you will be when this body no longer breathes. You will always and are always love. Remember. Though they tried to take this from you, no one can rip this loving frequency from your cells and DNA. Though they tried to convince you otherwise, you know now what is true. Though they try to keep you seeped in fear, in terror, in mistrust, you now embody, radiate the frequency of love. If you ever are feeling scared, my dear, just call on me. Call on Mary Magdalene, and she will be here to help you once again embody this frequency of love, to see through eyes of love, to hear with ears of love. Now she takes her hands off your body and comes to sit next to you. The fire still blazes, the crystals still glimmer. And she has a message for you. If you are open, I invite you to receive this message, whether you hear it, see it, sense it, feel it. And with this message fully received, I invite you to turn towards this figure of Mary Magdalene and imagine, see, or sense yourself embracing her, feeling your foreheads touch, feeling your hearts touch, feeling your arms wrapped around each other's body. Feel deep down in your soul that you are never alone, that she is always here with you, always here within you. And as your embrace comes to an end, she takes your cheeks in her hand and kisses you on the forehead, sealing in this loving activation. And with deep reverence and gratitude, you bow to her, sending gratitude and reverence, thanking the fire for its healing warmth. You stand now, turning towards the entrance of this crystal cavern, and you depart. Depart in full remembrance of who you are. Depart in full embodiment of the frequency of love. Depart in full reclamation of your own Magdalene spirit. And as you walk down that path out this ancient forest, you feel at one with the earth, with the trees, with all of the many forest creatures. And as you breathe in, you feel yourself deeply connected and revitalized. And as you breathe out, you graciously give to all that has given to you. And as you continue out this path, maybe you feel like skipping or twirling or dancing. Feeling yourself getting closer now to the exit of this forest. You turn around once more, bowing slightly and sending deep gratitude to this forest, knowing you can always return here, knowing that you are always connected to this place. And with one final gaze upon this glorious forest, breathing in and sensing the life all around you, you turn, exiting the forest and finding yourself once again in this present moment, in this present body, in this present here now place. And I invite you to take a nice deep breath in, maybe bringing some movement into your body, maybe blinking some gentle light into your eyes. Sensing that you will never again be the same as you were when you entered this experience. that the frequency of love is now fully reawakened within you and that it will never be shut off. That even when you forget, again, that it is still here within you, awakened and activated. That your relationship with Mary Magdalene is awakened and activated, and that you can call on her anytime you need support, tuning back into this frequency of love. I invite you to be gentle and easy with yourself as you move on with the remainder of your day, dropping into a journal if that's one of your practices, to note down how this felt for you, to record what message Mary Magdalene shared with you, inviting you to give your body plenty of water and plenty of food from the earth, knowing that these vessels do need nourishment and replenishment, and that water is one of the most nourishing frequencies and forces on our planet. And that as bodies of water, we need that water to continue to live in a state of creative flow, to continue being receptive. That when we are parched, we are brittle and we crack easily. But when we are wet, we are supple and nourished and juicy. And it is from this juicy place that we were meant to live and meant to love. Thank you so much for moving through this practice with me. Please let me know how that was for you. And if you wish to learn more about how you can work with Mary Magdalene or activate these frequencies within you, please reach out to me. I am a energy healer and guide, and I love to support those who are reawakening into the remembrance of our true power, our true power that lives within us. You are more powerful than you have ever imagined, and that power is awake now. Walk in love, my friend. You are deeply loved and needed. Bye now.